Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews, and this is Refuge from Narcissism. And this refugee video is sponsored by contribution from Teresa, and here's her story. Dear Ollie, my name is Teresa. You helped me go no contact from my family 4 years ago. I am Portuguese and I live in Belgium. I have recently gone back to Portugal for the first time in 4 years for another personal affair. But when I was there, I have learned that my brother just had a kid. My mother came from a popular background. She was a pure histrionic bitch who mistreated me because she was jealous of me. My father, on the other hand, was a covert, manipulative sex pervert. Their dream was to be part of this upper-class Lisbon society. I'm putting this in brackets so that y'all understand that I understand how ridiculous it is. They go to certain beaches, clubs, etc., talk a certain way, and dress a certain way. Viewing this from afar, especially now that I live in a less traditional country, this seems ridiculous. But for my parents, it was a legit living dream. My parents sent me and my brother to these upper class schools and activities so that we had these kinds of friends and they could live the dream through us. And what you find out is these people are the biggest degenerates in the world. Yeah, you're getting this upper class education that is usually consists of pure narcissism, sociopathy, and degeneracy. All the while looking down their nose at everyone else. That's the joke of it. Okay? Hunter Biden went to school somewhere. This is how it happens. You think Hunter Biden just happens in a vacuum? I mean, besides it being Russian disinformation, obviously. But still, where do you think people like Hunter Biden learn a lot of this stuff? These places, these upper class schools, activities, country clubs, where they're just a bunch of debauched scumbags. I was always a shy, quiet, artistic kid, so I never thrived on these environments. My mother bullied the shit out of me because of this. She was desperate about it. My brother, on the other hand, accomplished their dream. They used to compare me to him and ask why I wasn't like him. Well, first of all, I'm a girl. I'm a female. He's a man. Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to assume anybody's gender in any of this, But at that time, okay, I would assume you were living as a female, he was living as a male, and you're obviously two different people. I love the new rules. They used to compare me to him and ask why I wasn't like him. And he started to make fun of me and look down on me. Of course, they all do. I mean, really, that's the biggest part of the education in your upper class schools, is to look down on everyone else while you're fucked up. He never stopped doing so. So when I cut contact with my family, I also cut contact with him. He tried to contact me during these 4 years, but I had doubts before. Mainly because he kept telling me how he finally got it, how he was on my side and completely understood the abuse now. Bullshit. Bullshit. And in my mind, we know. I mean, we know this. This is the hoovering. Okay, target's off your back. It has to go somewhere else. Now it's on him. He don't like it. Where's Teresa? Let me get her back in to put that target right back where it belongs. I'll tell her, yeah, I believe you, I understand, yada, yada, yada. And then when she's the most vulnerable, when she thinks when she thinks we're a team, When she thinks we're a team now, for whenever whenever our parents pull their bullshit again, no. Off comes the mask. What the fuck were you talking about, Teresa? You always been a problem, yada, yada, yada. And there you go. And that's how many of us have played that game every time. So, yeah, no, he doesn't get it now. And in my mind, I am sometimes still this little girl who dreams of having a little brother who is also a friend, which, by the way, now I am ready to bury this dream. And yes, I hear you, Holly, stupid of me to have ever believed in it. But I'm sorry. I mean, you watch my channel for as long as you have, most of you know what I'm going to say. But I completely cracked when I learned that I had a nephew. Again, they use their own kids against you. You can't go back to save the niece and nephew. The niece and nephew trap. He wasn't going to be your little brother. All you saw the niece and nephew was as, oh, maybe this is going to make him to be the brother I always wanted. It's not. It's not. You know how I tell you how I know that? I mean, just personally, the fact that my brother had a kid, and I know his wife, there was a lot of questions of whether she would be able to conceive or not, or carry, or whatever it was. The fact that he now has a kid and understands what I've lost and all that, and he hasn't reached out. He's the same old, just lets me know. Sociopath. Kids don't change them. Kids don't change the golden child. Having children doesn't change the golden child. Once you've got no contact, and this is a specific scenario here, okay? And we've talked about this a lot on the channel. When the golden child comes the black sheep, okay, that golden child having children doesn't change shit. And you all think, and we all think, and I've been guilty, we've all been guilty, because it should change their thinking. But it doesn't. It doesn't. There are so many layers of traps and hooks and rabbit holes to fall down into with these people, which is why you don't go back. You don't go back. You can't go back. It is landmine after landmine after landmine after landmine. The only way you win is not to play the fucking game. But I completely cracked when I learned I had a nephew. I don't know if this is normal or not. I just explain why it happens. Because you think, okay, now that I know my golden child, I'm out of the picture. He's getting the abuse. And now they have a child of their own. This now, yeah. And they're telling me they get it. They don't. They don't. Because they know what to use to sucker you back in. But that fucking mask is still coming off. That fucking mask is still coming off. Once that first opportunity arises for the two of you to be a wall, to be a team against those two narcissistic parents, that fucking mask is coming off. And that's how you know it's all bullshit. But you want to believe it because it should change their thinking. But it doesn't. It doesn't. But I just couldn't stop crying and thinking that they could not take my nephew away from me. Listen, it's not, you can't think like that. It's their child, okay? It's a nephew. It's going to be used as a pawn. And eventually, the nephew or niece is going to end up hating you anyway. Because they spend 99.8% of their time with those people. You don't have a fucking chance. You don't have a chance. You want to help your nephew? This is what you do. You stay no contact. You stay no contact. You don't give that nephew any basis to base your behavior on your own. You don't give it to him. You stay out of his sight. All that nephew is going to know about you is what he's overheard from his parents. Okay? And once those parents fuck him up, your brother fucks him up, as they will, and there's nothing you can do to prevent it, and it's like, well, that's why I got to get involved to prevent that. You can't. You can't. You can hope he's going to remember, wait a minute, I have an aunt that has nothing to do with these people who have ruined my life. Let me now try to seek her out and find out what the fuck happened with my life. That's the best thing you can do for your nephew, is to stick to your guns. So maybe one day he'll understand what he'll have to do to repair himself. I know that sounds dark, that sounds depressing, but what else do you do with these people? Because we all know that mask is coming off. And the fact that the mask is going to come off after he's had a child, after he's become now the black sheep, just goes to show you everybody in his life is a pawn. That's just the way it is with the golden child. And you can't think of it like they're taking the child away from you. The child's not yours. So I talked to my brother 4 years later, and I wanted to see my nephew. The evening we spent was kind of weird. I kind of felt that him and his girlfriend were patronizing me, and I think this is because of the sentiment of superiority that he has over me, because of the upper class thing. I think he knows that he sort of comes from a popular background, raised by crazies, and seeing me reminded of that. He is reminded of that. So he feels the need to put me down to distance himself from it, because in the end, he hates himself. No, he sees you, okay, as somebody who had the courage to leave, and he's trying to tear you down because of it. The fact that he's had to admit that he sees it now means he's taken the abuse now, so he knows what it is. But he don't have the strength to leave. He don't want to leave. He don't want to give up whatever benefit he's getting out of this from your parents. It's much easier to hoover you back in. Because in the end, he hates himself. Exactly. He hates himself because he knows he's a coward. Listen, the golden child knows they're a coward. They know it. They know it. They don't have the strength to leave, so what they need to do is sucker us back in. They don't have the power to leave. They don't have the courage. They don't have the strength. They're cowards. They'd rather sacrifice their own son, their own children, their own relationships. Okay, and seeing you leaving, he has to tear that down because he knows that's what he should do. And he won't. That was all kind of covert, and I couldn't really put my finger on it, so I thought it could be my imagination. I suggested we saw each other one last time before I left to Belgium. He said, okay. Mind you, we hadn't seen each other in 4 years, and that would be my last chance to see my nephew. He knew how important that meeting was for me, but still, the following days on the phone, he just kept procrastinating it, like answering 5 hours later in a really vague manner about the plans. When the day came itself, he kept answering really vaguely and shortly to my attempts to make plans, and postponing the hour with justifications like, I don't know what time I will be ready tonight. I had made the attempt to talk to him 4 years later. It was my last day to see my nephew, and I was basically being put down again and treated like I was discardable. I don't know what you think of this from afar, but to me, this just seems like a clear provocation. He just wanted me to call him and be mad at him. It seems to me, unless I am dreaming, he basically wanted to piss me off so he could feel superior to me again, like he did so many times in the past. Yeah, look, what he needs his supply back. Not only does he need to target off himself, because remember, you guys, until you showed up there, he said he got it, right? He said, he tried to contact me during these 4 years, and you had your doubts, mainly because he kept telling me how he finally got it. So he's trying to hoover you back in this whole time. This whole time, he's trying to hoover you back in because he can't take the heat. And the second you're there in front of him, he can't. His training can't. He can't help himself. He can't even let you get fully accumulated back in. He's sabotaging himself. Why would you want to be around this? He's sabotaging. This all started with him over the last 4 years, trying to get you come back in, saying how he understood and he got it. And the second you're back, he can't even allow himself to let you have a relationship with your nephew. That's how fucked up he is. Except this time he really crossed the line, because what he did was basically using my weakness of wanting to see my nephew to fuck with me. He knew I wanted really badly to see him, so he played with it in order to provoke me. Again, it drives me crazy because I cannot clearly prove this, but it seems like he was using our meeting, now with another manipulation weapon being the baby, to push my buttons and one-up me. Does this make any sense to you, or you think I might be imagining things? I think he couldn't help himself, is what happened. I think on one level he wants you back because he can't take the fucking heat from your parents. But on the other level, because of his training and his instinct, the second you're in front of him, the instinct to fuck with you, he can't fight it. He can't fight it. He can't even help himself. I guess I have to go no contact from my brother forever. No more excuses. Exactly. And I know this means grieving my nephew too. Should I want to keep in contact for the kid, I know that my love for him would be used as a weapon and an excuse to put me down, because my brother needs to put me down to feel good about himself. Not doing it would have to mean admitting that I am much better off than him because I broke free of this stupid Lisbon society and free of my family of origin, which, by the way, he now works for my father. Of course he does. What do you think this is all about? He needs the other target. Like my father worked for my granddad, who worked for my great-grandfather, I almost feel sorry for him, except that I don't. I just feel extremely sad about this baby thing and not sure how to deal with it. I feel like something has been stolen from me, but I guess I just have to convince myself I never had it in the first place. I always knew this was going to happen because even the stupidest amoeba can procreate, but I never thought I would feel so sad. My final question is, do you have any advice on how to resolve my feelings towards this kid and move on? Thanks a lot. I told you how to do that. You have to tell yourself the best thing you can do for that kid is stay away. Because you know your family's going to fuck him up. You can't save him. This is generations and generations of the abuse passing itself down. There's nothing you can do about this. Nothing. And why is it? Why does he attack you? He attacks you because they're cowards. That's why the golden child does what they do, is because they're cowards. That's what flipped my brother out on the phone. Is when I called him a fucking coward, because he knew I was right. He knew I was right. Like you are a fucking coward. That's what I realized about him. Like whenever that was 8 years ago when the whole thing went down with me and my brother. Okay, I realized right there, and I said it like, you're a fucking coward. Is what your problem is. That's the golden child. They're all cowards. This is why they do what they do, because it's easier to attack you, whoever you back in, than actually go no contact and live a life on their own. The only thing you can do for this child is to go no contact. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much, Teresa, for another contribution and story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys, as this channel is completely demonetized from YouTube and Google. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take